My boyfriend and I haven't spoken in days after a distressing incident that left me feeling humiliated and hurt. It started when I unexpectedly got my period in the middle of the night, waking up to find my legs soaked in blood. I was emotional, partly because I dread my periods, and I felt mortified about staining my boyfriend's bed sheets. The pain was intense, and I couldn't move without risking more bleeding, so I gently woke him to help me get to the bathroom. He was clearly irritated about being disturbed, which I could understand, but the cramps were unbearable, and I couldn't walk on my own. I was quietly crying as he carried me, likely due to hormonal sensitivity, as I'm not usually so emotional. When he set me down, I realized I couldn't take the few steps to the toilet without making a mess, as opening my legs would cause more bleeding. So, I asked him to support me to the bathtub instead. He snapped, asking if I couldn't manage it myself. I explained that my stomach was in agony, and reluctantly, he helped me. My tears flowed because I could sense his frustration, and I felt like a burden. After cleaning up in the bathroom, I returned to find him upset about the ruined sheets. I apologized sincerely, but he let out an exaggerated sigh, clearly annoyed. I repeated my apology, saying, "I already said sorry." He shot back, "Can you stop? You're acting like you're in labor or something." Then he escalated, saying, "Be quiet. My sisters deal with their periods without acting like this." Shocked, I asked him to repeat himself, and he just laughed and walked to the kitchen. I followed, grabbing his arm to get his attention, and he raised his voice, saying, "Leave me alone, you've already messed up my day with this nonsense." I replied, "Sorry for having a period?" He scoffed, "You're acting like you're giving birth. Calm down." Then he added, "How are we supposed to start a family if you can't handle something like this?" I was crying harder now, confused, and asked if he was trying to break up with me. He responded, "You can be so clueless sometimes." When I pressed for clarification, he dismissed me, saying, "I'm done talking, go rest." I tried to continue the conversation, but he ignored me completely. Was I wrong for how I handled this? Maybe I shouldn't have woken him, but I was in pain and needed help. Is there a way to mend this? Update 1, we didn't speak after the argument. I wanted to resolve things, but his harsh words stung, and I hoped he'd apologize first. He didn't, as he usually waits for me to make the first move. So I texted him, but my message didn't deliver. He'd blocked my number. I found I was also blocked on Instagram. I reached out via Snapchat, which he rarely uses, so he hadn't blocked me there. I apologized, though I didn't fully mean it, and asked to talk in person. He came over but acted like nothing had happened, which frustrated me. I saw comments questioning why I wasn't prepared for my period, suggesting I should have known better. My period was 5 days late, so I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't anticipate his reaction. I told him I wanted to discuss what happened because his words still hurt. I apologized for waking him, acknowledging his irritation, and explained that I was too weak to move alone. He responded, "You acted like you were helpless. What would you have done if I wasn't there?" I said I'd likely have made a bigger mess or struggled alone, and I didn't want to worsen things by staining more items. I told him I didn't appreciate his cursing or name-calling, and he replied, "Let someone ruin your day with something trivial and see how you react." I insisted it wasn't trivial. I was in severe pain, and he showed no empathy. He just stared at me like I'd said something ridiculous. I mentioned I'd booked an appointment with a gynecologist because the pain wasn't normal. He said, "I just hope you don't aggravate me next time." I asked why he was being so cruel, but he ignored me and started scrolling on his phone. Frustrated, I grabbed his phone to make him listen, which was a mistake. He tried to take it back, and when I insisted on finishing the conversation, he grabbed my wrist and twisted it until I dropped it. I started crying and he snapped, "Why are you crying? You brought this on yourself." I said I just wanted to talk, but he mocked my tears and told me to leave. In the heat of the moment, I texted him that we were done. Reflecting on his hurtful actions and words, including grabbing me, I felt overwhelmed. Later, his sister, who's a close friend, texted me, saying he told her I'd gone crazy and broken up with him suddenly. She asked if I was okay and said he missed our friendship with her. I haven't replied because I'm too embarrassed to share the details. I'm torn. I miss him deeply, but his disrespectful behavior hurts. If he could change how he speaks to me, I feel we could work. His sister says he's heartbroken, and I trust her. She's always been honest. Update 2. At my gynecologist appointment, I learned I'd had a miscarriage. I thought it was just a heavy period, as mine are typically intense, but I was devastated to learn I'd been pregnant and lost the baby. I read comments calling him abusive, but I struggled to see him that way. He'd never grabbed me like that before, and though it hurt, I didn't initially think it warranted a breakup. I know that sounds naive, but I didn't see it as abuse because he didn't hit me. Still, his words and actions hurt, so I didn't contact him. The next day, he called to apologize, saying he regretted his behavior and would improve. I thanked him but declined to meet up. He asked to stay on the phone to talk, and since I missed him, I agreed. I told him about the miscarriage, and he apologized sincerely, saying he'd have acted differently if he'd known and that his reaction was due to exhaustion. We both cried, and it felt like a meaningful moment. On Sunday, he visited with gifts and a handwritten letter, apologizing again and promising never to treat me that way again. He said he didn't realize his strength when grabbing my wrist and was working on his temper. We spent the next few days together, and it was wonderful. He was sweet, even calling me his wife. Things were fine until last night at my friend's birthday party. He and I went to different schools, so he didn't know many people and stayed with his friends. I was catching up with high school friends I hadn't seen in years, including his sister. While drunk, she jokingly asked why I'd gone crazy on her brother. I laughed and said he was the one who got upset and grabbed me. She asked for details, and I explained how I took his phone during an argument and he twisted my wrist to get it back. She laughed, saying he used to do that to her as kids. I wasn't serious when I told the story. I was laughing too. The next morning, he asked if I'd told his sister anything. I lied, pretending I didn't remember, but he knew and got furious. He accused me of spreading lies for attention, saying I'd ruined his reputation among my friends who don't know him. I explained I was drunk and didn't mean it seriously, and no one likely overheard since I was just talking to his sister. He kept interrupting, saying, "Your voice is so loud you think no one heard? Are you that dumb? Now everyone thinks I'm abusive. Happy now?" I kept apologizing, understanding his perspective. I tried to hug him, but he pushed me away, calling me an attention seeker and a crybaby. Sobbing, I tried to hug him again, and he slapped me across the face. We were both stunned. He immediately cried and apologized, but I'd never been hit before, especially not by a man. I said I was fine but wanted to leave. He offered a ride, but I declined and went home alone. At home, I cried all day, turned off my phone, and reflected. I don't understand why I couldn't see him as abusive before. Objectively, I know he is, but my feelings make it hard to accept. I blocked him and am keeping my distance, fearing what he might do next. I think he knows it's over. I don't want to tell his sister, who's like his twin, as I'm not sure she'd believe me over him, though we're close. He has another sister, but we're not close, and I just want to be alone. I'm not going to the police. I can't fathom how he could talk about marriage one day and hit me the next, especially knowing I lost our baby. The pain of the miscarriage and this breakup is overwhelming. I know I was foolish for giving him another chance, and I appreciate the support from comments and messages. Let me know if you have questions. I might have missed some details.